media for a while. I watched her for 11 months. I had never heard of the business before. Oh, did you say wait, Morgan? Am I good?
You're good. I was trying to record it, but she made me the host, so we're good. Yep.
Okay. So I had never heard of It before. I saw her post about it. I watched her announce that she was joining this business, and I was like, I've never heard of that company. And I immediately just started watching. I became a loyal customer for hair, skin, and nails like 2 weeks after she started. And I absolutely loved it. My hair grew 4 inches in 2 months. So I was like, man, I don't know what this company is, but this stuff is legit. So I just kept using the products for that whole 11 months. Meanwhile, like we were just really struggling financially. My husband was working 2 jobs so I could stay home with our 4 kids. We actually have 5 kids now, but we had 4 kids at the time. And money was just tighter than tight. And I was crying out to God for a solution. I was always up just every night, just so anxious about money. And I felt like God just so clearly said to me, Brittany, the answer's been right in front of you all along. Just trust me and just do it. And so I just reached out to her one night out of the blue. She had no clue that I was interested in the business. I had never expressed any interest about the business at all before. And so I always like to say, like, you never know who's watching you and who is reading every single post you put and is very inspired, but like they just haven't felt nudged to join you yet. And that's why consistency is just so important, because I mean, I literally read every post she put. Like every time she told her story, I read it. I was more and more inspired. But that being said, I reached out one night out of the blue. I was like, okay, I want to join your team. I don't know what I'm supposed to do, but I'll do whatever you teach me to do. And from that moment forward, I was just like, okay, if it works for her, it'll work for me. And I just committed to learning everything that I could learn. I had kind of a slow start in the business. It took me 4 months to go Ruby. But once I got going pretty quickly. By 7 months, I was earning more than my husband. And so we retired him and brought him home. We've been a full-time family ever since. By our 1-year anniversary, I was triple diamond, and he had gone double diamond a couple months before. And at that point, we were able to move to the beach and just like really just started living a life that we never even knew was possible. And then I sat at triple diamond for 17 months, went presidential last November, and then 5 months later went ambassador. We just went diamond on our 2.0. We paid off over $120,000 of debt thanks to this business. And I mean, it's just absolutely changed our entire life.
I love that. Okay, so you kind of talked about this a little bit and talked about how you had a little bit of a slow start, then you just kind of took off, and then you had 17 months where you just kind of like probably worked on a lot of leadership, had some people come and go, and then you went presidential, and then boom, ambassador, boom, diamond 2.0. So crazy. So somebody wanted to know, did you join thinking like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to be so good at this, or did you kind of catch the vision as you went?
So I would say like a little bit of both. I definitely did not think like, oh, I was going to be so good at this. I actually like remember specifically thinking, what if people don't like me like they like Claire? Like, what if people don't find me as inspiring as they find her? What if like I just don't have the people coming to me like she has? Like, I definitely remember thinking those thoughts. So I didn't join thinking I would be great at this business. But what I will say is I did know deep at the bottom of my heart, if it works for her, to work for me. I just kind of like realized like, okay, God doesn't have favorites. Like, he's not going to bless her hard work and not bless my hard work. Like, if I'm willing to show up and work, and I'm willing to learn and always be teachable, then it will work for me. Maybe I don't have like all the same skills someone else has, but like I can learn them. Like, I can always learn more. I can always show up and just be better every single day. And I think that honestly was like what really got me through, especially like having a little bit of a slow start. Like, I remember joining, there were several people that joined that same month as me. I joined June of 2016. And I remember several other people joining on Claire's team, and they went Ruby in like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. And it took me 4 months to go Ruby. And I remember thinking like, what the heck? Like, why are some of them going so fast? Like, it didn't even seem to me like they were working that hard, if I'm being honest. Like, maybe that's not the right attitude, but I definitely was like, I think my posts are better. Like, I feel like I am doing a lot more. Like, why are they promoting faster? But I just kept like, I would dismiss those thoughts pretty quickly. And I'm like, I don't know, but it's all going to work out for me. I just got to keep going. And what I'll tell you is like, okay, so I went Ruby in 4 months, and then by 7 months, I was diamond. My husband was emerald. The next month I went double. Next month he went double. Things started going really quickly for us at that point. By that time, when I went diamond, so many of those same people that went Ruby in like 2 or 3 weeks had quit. They had quit because then you go diamond the next month. And so not everything is as it seems. Like, and I'm not saying just because someone goes Ruby in 2 weeks, they're going to quit. That's not what I'm saying at all. But you just don't know, like, the big picture when you're like in those first few, early months. And so it's so important to just have that long-term mindset and to have your blinders on and just be focused on where you're going and not get super hung up on what everyone else is doing. I've never been one to like really worry about how are they enrolling? Like, what are they doing? Like when I hear like someone like mass enrolls one month and enrolls like 84 distributors, I literally don't really think much about it. Cause I'm like, you know what? Like, I know how to enroll distributors. It's like, I'm doing fine. Like I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing. And like, if there's a Zoom out or something, I'll always watch it. I'll always take what tips I can and implement. But what I mean by that is I don't get too hung up on it to where I'm like, wait, maybe I'm doing all wrong. Like I enrolled 16 distributors, they enrolled 84. I need to go see what they're doing, because I just think like so often we get so caught up in what other people are doing that we forget we know how to enroll customers and distributors. We've done it before. We can do it again. Like all it is just taking like more action, and so I think it's really important to have like a couple people that inspire you who are fiercely consistent with their business, and watch them and like let them keep fueling your fire, but don't like follow 300 different top leaders in the company, because then you're just going to get distracted. So for me, like I always like from day one like had a couple people that I followed, and that's pretty much it. Like I just like had a few people that I would watch that were, I noticed, like always showing up and always working their business, consistently top 10 income earners, like that sort of thing. And then that's it. I just like focused and just was like, all right, what do I need to do? I need to post. I need to grow my network. I need to, I need to do all these things religiously, and I'll be fine. But I think that for me, that made all the difference in the world, because I'm the kind of person, like if I get too caught up on like, how are they promoting faster than me, or how is this happening, then I'll miss my own mark, which is just being super consistent and doing what I already know to do well, if that makes sense.
Oh my gosh, yes, I love that. And I was kind of the same way. Like I didn't really even know who some of the top people were whenever I joined. Like I remember being new and people would talk about certain people and I was like, I don't even know who that is. And I honestly think that it was a huge advantage for me because I didn't know. Like I wasn't looking left and looking right. And so that was something that I'm really glad that I did. Okay, so can everybody make sure that y'all are muted and stay muted? Please, please. Okay. So the next question is, what are some key elements that have contributed to your speed in the business? You kind of talked about it already, kind of not looking left and looking right. Is there anything else, or is just consistency?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think being relentlessly consistent is the biggest thing. I was actually just guest spoke on another Zoom earlier before my team Zoom, and they were asking me this, and I said, I think that the biggest thing I've noticed in the business is like everyone talks about a 6 list. Like we all talk about it. We all pretty much know what it is. If you've been in the business for at least a month or two, you've heard what a 6 list is. But not everyone views their 6 list as truly non-negotiable things they do daily. And I think what makes or breaks your success in the business is, do you actually do those things every single day? Is your 6 list truly like your non-negotiable list? For me, I view my 6 list just like brushing my teeth, just like feeding my kids, just like showering. Like it has to happen. Like it doesn't matter if like I'm sick. It doesn't matter if we're traveling. Like it doesn't matter what's happening. Like those are my core things that have to happen. And I'm telling you, like, that is the only thing I think I do differently. There's no special skill I have. I'm not as good at certain things as other people are. The only thing I feel like that I really do differently is you won't catch a day that I don't do my 6 list. And that's pretty much been since I was like executive or Ruby, I would say. I can't exactly pinpoint when, but it was somewhere in that time frame. I just kind of realized like, okay, if I do these things daily, the compound effect is going to kick in eventually, and it's going to end up being like a lot over a course of time. I got to do it daily. Another thing that I heard early on that really helped me, and this kind of just goes in conjunction with that, is the concept of just one more, or like the extra 3%. And so what that means is like when you're about to call it quits at the end of the day, you've done your 6 list, like you've done your messaging, you've done your host post, you've done however you build your business, like you've done it, you've showed up. But you're about to go to bed and you do an extra 3%, just one more. So like if you're a messenger, that means just one more round of messaging. If you really work your business through host to post, that means going ahead and getting like one more round of host to post up, sending one more round of messages asking people to host post for you, whatever. If you practice attraction marketing, that means one more round of like mass adding to your network and getting like one more post up in your story, whatever it is, but it's like just one more. And that takes you like an extra 5 to 10 minutes at the end of every day. But over a month, that's a lot of extra work. over a year, that's a whole lot of extra work. And so I heard that, like I said, it was around the time of Executive or Ruby, and I think it was Mike Patillo that I heard talk about it. And I was like, okay, that's something really tangible that I can do. And I just started doing that. I would not let myself go to bed, and I still do this to this day. Like Zach will testify, my husband. I will like be in bed, it's like 2 in the morning, and I'm like so tired, and I lay down. And before I turn my phone on Do Not Disturb, I literally go to Instagram and I follow like 100 more people. Or I'll like go and like go to Facebook and like find like a guy I went to high school with. I'll go to his friends list and I'll add like 10 more girls as friends. Like I'll just like do something, like one more thing before bed. And that just makes all the difference.
I love that. And guys, success leaves clues. Like, I mean, whenever somebody is where you want to be, you should be listening to them like this. Like, that's exactly how I listen to people like Kelsey and Brittany, like they're ambassador, or, you know, even further on their 2.0, like that's where I want to be. So I'm just like this. So if you're like, okay, yeah, that works for her, it's not going to work for me. Dude, clearly it does. And it's not just working right now. It worked in 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019. So it's not the timing. It's not the person. She already said, you know, there's a special skill that she has. And most of us would say that. It's literally just doing the same thing consistently and doing more. And Craig Rochelle has one of his affirmations that he does every day. He says, I give my best and then some, and what I give above like my best, that's what makes the difference. And so ever since I've heard that, I've kind of been challenged to do the same thing, because a lot of us are like, well, I've done my best, but to go beyond that, that's what makes the difference. Okay. So what does a typical day look like for you, juggling being a wife, mom, and a successful business owner? A lot of people on this Zoom probably have kids, and you have 5 of them. You're insanely successful. How do you do it all?
Yeah. So I'm like predominantly a red personality. I have a little bit of green and like a teensy bit of blue, and I like no yellow. So I say this to say, like, my green side only comes out with like certain things, like understanding the comp plan. Like I'm pretty organized, stuff like that. But where it doesn't come out is I am very much like, I like to fly by the seat of my pants. Like I don't like a rigid routine. And I'm late everywhere I go, which like further confirms that. So for me, like I realized quickly, like, okay, I got to do what works for me. Like what works for me is just truly knowing these things are non-negotiable and they have to get done. It doesn't really matter when they get done, they just have to get done. Maybe you're the kind of person you really need a rigid schedule, then like set yourself up a rigid schedule. But for me, I just like have that mindset of like, okay, this is just as important as feeding my kids. They've got to happen, and I get them done that way. And then I basically just look for any opportunity in the day to get them done. So for example, like my kids don't watch TV in the living room, because that is time that I feel like I can be having like a sermon on YouTube, or I can have like, you know, maybe there was a Zoom that on someone's YouTube channel that I miss live. Like I can turn that on my TV, whatever the case is. So I like during the day, they watch TV in their playroom, and they can come in the living room, that's fine. But I always have something playing. That way I'm always getting sharper, always getting tips, always growing my mind. But then I just look for any opportunity to like get my core things done. So like when I started this business, my 4th baby Silas was 8 weeks old. Anytime I was nursing, I was growing my network. Anytime I was nursing, I was like liking and commenting on people's things. Because if you're a nursing mom or you've ever nursed a baby, you know when you're sitting there nursing, like there's really not a lot you can do. Like you can hold your phone, that's all. You can't really get up and take a picture. You might not want a voice message because you're trying to be quiet, but you can sit there and you can like and comment on people's posts. So I think just getting smart about your time and finding those pockets of time that could easily be wasted. You could just sit there and watch Netflix, or you could like and comment on people's posts, you know? That really made the difference for me. Also in the car, I always have audiobooks on. So I don't put any music on in the car or anything. I just like listen to whatever audiobook, because that's a way that I can finish like a book a lot quicker, is by also listening to it when I'm driving. In addition to like when I'm in the shower, I always put a book on. When I'm in the car, I always put a book on. So like even if like the rest of my day is kind of chaotic, I at least know there's going to be these several pockets of time I'm definitely going to get poured into. And so I think just kind of like if you're a similar personality as me, you don't want a rigid schedule, then just get really self-disciplined of looking at your day and identifying when you can get as much done as possible, and just like working smarter, not harder. You know what I mean? Just getting super efficient with your time.
I love that, because I think a lot of people think like, well, I don't have time to do self-development because I have to sit down, I have to read a book, and that's always the one that goes to the wayside. But after talking with you, every time I talk to you, like you always talk about the importance of self-development. And guys, I'm just going to brag on her because I know she probably wouldn't do this for herself. She just read listened to 32 books this year. Like, that is insane. Maybe 33, because she texted me the 32 this morning, so she may have read another one today. I don't know. But she challenged me so much whenever we were talking in our other chat about this, and she said that she had read 19 at the time, and I was like, I need to get my stuff together. And now I've been reading a book a week, and it's literally changed my business. It's changed my perspective. It's changed everything. And so I love that you kind of work that into your day that way and make it just like you said, smarter, not harder. Okay, so how do you teach your team consistency, and how do you keep confidence in your team when you are struggling yourself?
Okay. So number one, whenever someone gets started with me, like I sign a new distributor, I always send them this like colorful graphic that, and I can send it to you after if you need me to, Morgan, but it's basically just my 6 list on like a white graphic that's like all the things are in different colors. So it's just like really like just pops at you. And I just tell them to save that to their phone. And I just tell them, this is your daily task list. These are the things you do every single day without fail. So I'm just setting that precedent from the beginning. And if they have questions about how to do the things, or like, you know, with growing your network, where to find people or whatever, they'll come to me. But first things first, they know these are the things you do every single day. So I think that that's huge, because regardless if they're going to go, you know, super fast or they want to go a little bit slower, they need to know that those are the daily things. Because whether you want to promote, you know, once a year, or whether you want to promote like once every 2 months, like you still have to have things you do daily, like plain and simple. You can't go forward without having those things you're doing. So I make sure that they know upfront, these are what we do. I am like a really big believer of like running with my runners and walking with my walkers. I think that the quickest way to like lose somebody is to make them like try to make them go faster than they want to go. So I never like try to force my team to go faster than they want. But I do let them know like I'm 100% accessible to them if they need something. And I think like just that's been so huge for my team, is just knowing like they can get a hold of me if they need me, but I'm not going to come knocking on your door. Like, you got to come to me. We've got, you know, in 3 years, we have a big team. And so they just kind of having that open communication, like, I'll always be there for you, but you got to come to me. And then be like holding myself accountable of answering them promptly. And so I think this is something that works whether you're a Ruby and you have a smaller team, or whether you're a triple diamond and you have a bigger team, like just setting some sort of precedent with your team. Maybe you are a really hands-on person and you're going to message everyone every day. Long-term, I don't think that's sustainable as your team grows, but like whatever your system's going to be, just like make sure your team knows, you know. My team knows if I'm not checking in with you, it's nothing personal. But you can get a hold of me, you know, really quickly. And so that's for the first thing. And then as far as like helping them be consistent, I think the biggest thing is honestly just showing them the way. I think people learn by the example that we set more than they learn what we tell them to do. And so they're going to see me posting every day. They're going to see me enrolling, you know, regularly. And I think that helps them be more consistent more than anything I could like hound them about. I had one of my top leaders on my team was having a really rough month last month, and she was super discouraged. And when she heard me shout it out on the call as one of the top enrollers company-wide, she came to me after and she was like, how the heck are you one of the top DT enrollers company-wide? And I'm like, well, I mean, I'm doing the same thing I always do. I'm like posting my story regularly and following up. And she was like, I guess I just like forget that it's that simple. And then we had like a conversation about it. And she was like, I need to like snap out of it and realize like, I know what to do. I just need to do it. And I say that to say, like, you don't have to be a top enroller for that aha moment to happen. That can happen just by your team seeing you welcome people onto the team page. But when they see you making it happen, no matter what, they realize, like, I need to snap out of it. I need to get out of my funk and make things happen too. Like, I know what to do. But I think that happens when they see us doing it. I shared with my Diamonds and Above a few weeks ago, like, if someone is having a rough time on your team and their leader is nowhere to be found, they don't see you posting, they haven't seen you post in 2 weeks, they haven't seen you enroll anybody in 2 months. Well, if they look up to you so much and they think you're such a boss and they're having a rough time, they don't see you working, they don't see you enrolling, it's really easy to think, like for them to think, well, if my leader can't even do it right now, there's no hope for me. Like, I don't see her working, I don't see her enrolling. It just must be a really, really rough past couple months, you know? Whereas like, regardless of how they're feeling, if they see you showing up, it gives them that hope and it reminds them, okay, I can do this too. And so I think that that's what kind of leads into the second question you asked me, Morgan, about like, how do you stay positive and stay consistent even when you maybe are having a rough time? I just remind myself like I don't get the luxury as a leader of taking time off. I don't get the luxury as a leader of like stopping climbing. And that's one thing that's like really important to me with my 2.0, like why I want to keep my 2.0 thriving is because I think it's so important for your team to see you burn your trophies and then to see you keep going. But when they don't see you continue to go, like, it's really easy for them to like get in their own head, and they're like, well, I look up to her so much, and she must be having a rough time too. So like, I guess, you know what I mean? And they just believe all sorts of things. But when they see you making it happen, they're reminded I can make it happen too. And so I think that, I mean, if I'm being completely transparent, that's what keeps me going when I have a rough day. If I'm having rough stuff in my personal life, like, I'm reminded I have so many people watching me. There's so many people that God has literally entrusted to me, and like, they haven't arrived yet. Like, they don't make $32,000 a month. They make $320 a month, and they need to make more money or they can't pay their bills. So like, I can't take that lightly and not show up, or like, I'm literally not giving them the example that they need. So I don't know if that makes sense, but like, for me, like, that's the way my brain works. And that's what keeps me just going, even when I don't feel like it, is realizing like, these are literally people's lives at stake, and they're looking up to me. And I think like, this is something that's true even when you're a Ruby. Like, if you're a Ruby and you're making $500 a month, and you're, you know, super blessed and happy that you have that income coming in, but obviously you're hungry for more, that new distributor that you signed, like, you have no idea. They might literally be about like on the verge of being evicted from their apartment. They might not have the money to pay their water bill that's due next week. They need you to show them the way. They need you to show up and like, show them how to make it happen. And so let that be what pushes you on the days you don't feel like it.
That is so good. I love like how seriously you take that. Like, I think that a lot of us take that really lightly, and we're just like, oh, well, I just like don't really feel like it today. Or we show up, but it's for us. And so I think that that's really cool to show up for us, but also for our team, and for our family, but also for our team. So that's really cool. Different perspective. Okay. So the next thing is, somebody asked, if you started today from zero, like back to a distributor, which you kind of did with your 2.0, but let's say you had never joined the business before. You started from zero with the knowledge that you have now, and you had 3 months to build as fast as possible to get as high as you could go. What would you do?
Okay, so number one, I would realize that like, I have no time to worry about what anybody else thinks. That's something that definitely I had to work through those first couple months of my business when I got started as a brand new distributor. I definitely worried what family thought. I worried what some friends from high school thought, and it didn't keep me from working, but it got in my head, and it kept me from being like the boss I actually could be. Like, I let that hold me back. Like, I wasn't as confident as I could have been because I was like worried about comments that were made or whatever. So going forward, if I was starting over, I would not worry about that whatever. And I can promise you that would make all the difference in the world, because we just don't realize how much other people's opinions hold us back if we let them. And then number two, I would honestly just take massive action. When I got started, I was, you know, part of this I think is worrying about what people thought, but I wasn't taking as massive of action as I could. I was being consistent. I was posting. I was doing things that I knew to do, but I wasn't like literally 10xing everything I know. And if you guys don't know what that term means, there's a book called The 10x Rule. I highly recommend it. It's one of my favorite books I've read this year. But basically, what the 10x Rule means is that we have to set goals that are 10 times higher than what we think we want to achieve, and then we have to back it up with action 10 times more than what we think it's going to take to achieve it. Grant Cardone. And so what the whole point of this is, like, you can be telling yourself, I just would like to be diamond. Okay, maybe you really do think you only want to be diamond, but you actually need to be telling yourself, I want to be triple diamond. Maybe you think, yeah, I just want to go triple diamond. Okay, cool. You actually need to set on your dream board, I want to go ambassador diamond. Like, you have to set those goals higher than what you think you want, because here's the thing. Wouldn't you rather fall just a little bit short of ambassador diamond than fall a little bit short of diamond? That's kind of the point he makes in the book, is that inevitably there will be times we miss goals. It's just the name of the game. It's going to happen. I wanted to go diamond the month on my 2.0, the month I went emerald, but I went emerald. But here's the thing. I had a goal of diamond and I went emerald. If I would have just had a goal of emerald, maybe I would have only gone ruby, you know? And so he says, like, you want to set goals that are 10 times higher than what you think you want, because like, then you're going to reach higher, you're going to push further, and that's going to actually get what you initially thought you wanted in the bag. And then backing it up with action that's 10 times more. Obviously that's pretty self-sufficient, but the whole point of that is, like, it always takes more than we think. You can come into this business thinking, oh yeah, I could be a 6-figure income earner in the next 6 months. I'm super confident of that. But what you think it's going to take to get that is not going to be what it's going to take to get that. So by you setting the action 10 times higher, you're going to have a lot better chance of making it happen. And so when I got started, I definitely think I was a little naive of what it took. I didn't expect to be like a millionaire overnight or anything, but I do think I just didn't quite realize exactly what it was going to take. Knowing what I know now, I'd go all in. I'd be blasting social media left and right from the beginning without a care in the world about what anybody thought. I'd be doing all the things. I'd be taking everything I learned from all the top leaders and just implementing them all, and really just finding, what worked for me and like what routine worked for me, but going all in, doing it all the time.
I love that. The 10X Rule is such a good book too. It's just like a good perspective. So if you haven't read that, definitely read it. Okay, so this, I feel like you may have already covered this because a lot of the questions are kind of the same, or like maybe your answers for the different questions would be the same. But this question is, what was the mind shift that you had to take you from Prez to Diamond 2.0, but I'll actually take it a step further and say from Triple Diamond because you sat there for so long. So what was I guess like you sat at Triple Diamond for what, 17 months, and then you went like basically presidential ambassador Diamond 2.0. And I know that it was like a little bit longer than that and it took a lot of work, but what was that shift for you?
Yeah. So I think if I'm being completely transparent, like I had a slow start, but then I went pretty fast. I was triple by my 1 year. And so I was a Ruby starting 2017, like in January, and June I was triple diamond. So Ruby to triple diamond in 6 months. And I've never been like a super prideful person. So I'm not saying like, oh, I was just like super arrogant after that happened. But it did kind of get in my head like, oh man, like I'm just like, I've found my groove. I have arrived. And I honestly, like I had a goal after going triple in June to go Prez by, I think my goal at the time was August. And right after going triple, I had 2 diamonds quit my team. And I was still barely hanging on to triple for a couple months. I lost rank in the winter. And that was like a punch in the gut to me. But what I learned during that season was like, okay, I've never arrived. I've always got to be super hungry. And it's always going to take me stepping up to a new level to get to the next level. I can't ever just get so comfortable in my abilities that I stop being just as hungry as I was to get where I am now. And again, that's not to say like I got to triple and like wasn't working. It was nothing like that. But I think I literally thought, oh, Prez is mine. It's in the bag. Like next month, here I come. And it's not that it's bad to think that, but if we're going to think that, we also got to be backing it up with a lot of work. And I just wasn't. I was backing it up with like barely the same amount of work I'd been doing. Honestly, maybe a little bit less because I came into an income that I had never made before. My first triple diamond check combined with my husband's double was like $20,000. And we were like broke as a joke before we started this business. So we were definitely like hanging out at the beach a lot, like just literally like thinking to ourselves, like, man, like, okay, this, like, we're just complete badasses of this business. Like we've arrived. And after like the 2 diamonds quit, I like really had a moment where I realized like, okay, like I have to always be super hungry and I've always got to always be setting myself up in a position to where I'm ready for whoever God has for me. I can't just assume like, oh, everyone he has for me is already here. This is it. Like I've got everything I need. Everything's going the right direction. Because I think that was kind of the mindset I was in. I never saw those kinds of things happen. And I don't think we should work our businesses in fear or anything like that. But I do think we should always be showing up hungry and making things happen. So that being said, learned a lot during that whole period of time. I had to work really hard to get triple back. It took me like 6 months or something. I don't even remember. And once I got triple back, we went Prez a couple months after. Some of the best people that are on my team today came during that time of not maintaining rank, but of like just like truly being humbled in a way that I never thought I'd have to be humbled in, and realizing like, okay, I'm gonna have to show up in a bigger way than I did to go triple, to get triple back, and to go Prez and to go ambassador. So I just started really just committing to always be building new, always be growing, never being in a position where someone quitting my team could like shake me. And that's truly what I think I learned in that season was like, if you are always building new and you're always working really, really hard and you're never so comfortable where you're at, that you slow down in that area, it doesn't matter who walks away. Like I could have one of my top leaders walk away and I would be sad, but I could keep going and it would be fine because I'm building new. I'm always planting seeds. Like I'm not putting all my, I'm not just thinking to myself, oh, I've arrived, everything's fine. And so that being said, like after that happened, I started signing a lot of people that are on my team today that are rock stars on my team. And God just really showed me, like, if you just keep showing up and you keep being relentlessly consistent and you keep setting the example, setting the bar high and trusting me to bless you for it, like you're going to be fine, but you've got to do that. If you, like, to whom much is given, much more shall be required. If you want an ambassador team, you've got to show up and lead them the way that I would expect an ambassador diamond to lead them. And so I think for me, like, I just really got really real with myself about who I wanted to be and who I wanted to be perceived as. And like, I knew that I didn't want to just go ambassador and then never be heard of again. There were so many people when I joined the business that like were a big deal that they're still in the company today, but you never hear about them. Like you literally don't even, like if you're new right now, you probably don't know who the same people are that I heard about when I was new. And I kind of like had these like identity moments where I'm like, I don't ever want that to be me. I want to be someone who's always making the company proud, who's always making my team proud, who's always showing up, who's always just setting an example, not just for my team, but company wide. And I don't ever want anyone to be able to say like, oh, she's just resting on her laurels. She's just hanging out on the beach without a care in the world. And I can hang out on the beach, that's fine. But I also want them to see me working, and I want them to remember that like I've never come to a point where I feel like I don't have to work anymore. Like this is something truly that I get to do. And when I view it like that, everything's going to continue to fall in line. I'm going to continue to be blessed for it. But like even more than that, my team will continue to be blessed for it, because from the head, everything else flows. And so I'm wrapping this answer up. I'm sorry, Morgan, but I think it's so important to remember that like the enemy always comes for the head. Like if he wants to dismantle your whole organization, he's going to start with you. And he knows if he can get you and he can shake you up, he can distract you, he can isolate you, then he can disrupt your whole entire organization. And here's the thing, we're not naive to his schemes. So if we know how he works and we know how he's going to come for us, then we can set ourselves up for success and we can prevent it from happening. But I think that's the biggest thing I could sum up about the time when I went triple is like, I had no clue that could happen. You know what I mean? Like I had no clue that 2 diamonds would want to walk away. Why would anyone want to walk away from diamond income? You know, like that kind of stuff. I had just it had never even occurred to me. And now that like, I feel like all of those things I've learned, like I've gotten my team to a place where they're stronger than ever. And I feel like I'm in a place where I'm hungrier than ever. And even being ambassador and being diamond on my 2.0, I can honestly tell you, I truly believe the best is yet to come. I don't even think I've scratched the surface of what God has for me with It Works yet. But I didn't think that at triple. At triple, I really felt like I had just arrived. I don't know.
I love that. My hand hurts because I've been like scribbling notes so fast, writing down what you're saying. That's so good. I don't even have anything to add to that. That was just perfect. Okay, so the next question is someone wants to know how you identify leaders. What are some qualities that you look for, I guess, with like new DTs coming in?
Okay, so number one, something I heard from John Maxwell, it was actually around the time I had these 2 diamonds quit when I went triple. And I heard it probably before that happened, like a few weeks before, and then it really started clicking to me after that happened, and like things that have happened since then. I've always remembered this. And what he said was, people with great potential don't behave badly. It doesn't mean they're perfect. It doesn't mean they won't make mistakes. It means they don't behave badly. You're not going to see someone with great potential go out and show their ass. Like they're going to like hold themselves to a certain standard. And so when I look at people that have joined my team and are, you know, Ruby, Emerald, whatever, and I'm really thinking like, who's my next VIP leader on my team? I'm looking at who holds themselves to a certain standard, who has a good attitude even when things aren't going well, who, when they have a complaint, when they have something they need help with, they come to me in this way, not in this way. You know, like we all know, you have some people that come to you and they're just whining, complaining, and you're not even sure they actually want your help. It just kind of seems like they just want to complain. But then you have people that come to you and they're like, okay, I'm having a rough couple months, but what can I do better? Like that's the difference to me between a leader and someone who's not ready for leadership. Is like how they handle the disappointments, how they handle the setbacks, how they handle things not going well, just how they hold themselves, how they carry themselves. And that's not things you can necessarily always pick up on when someone's brand new, but you do start noticing. If you pay attention to your conversations with them, you'll hear the way they talk. And I feel like pretty good at like with my new DTs within their first month or two, really identifying like this is going to be someone that's with me for a long time, if not for life. And then other people where I kind of am like, I don't know they're going to be here very long. And I'll say my gut's gotten really good. My instincts have gotten really good with those kinds of things. Like if someone starts really just showing out and just not being the way that they could be early on, they're usually not around very long. And so what that does for me is like, I'll never write them off. I'll never not help them. That's not what I'm saying. But I do kind of just know, like, I can't pour a ton of time into them. If they're behaving badly and they're not holding themselves to a certain standard that I do expect of my leaders, I can't be spending hours on the phone with them on coaching calls. It's just not a wise use of my time. I can answer their questions and definitely be there to help them and cheer them on. I'll love their posts, all that kind of stuff. But my like more intimate time is going to be spent with these people who are like exhibiting the qualities that I want to see in my leadership.
Yeah, and I think that that's, where a lot of us get hung up, is that we pour a lot of time and effort and energy into these people who we want to be leaders. We like hope that they'll be leaders. And we pour all this time and effort and energy. We start placing people under them. We're getting diamond charts out for them, because I've signed so many people in the past. Yeah, Kelsey with her blue, she's like, be my best friend. But no, like, I just see people, I'm like, you would literally be so good at this, but that does not make them a leader. Because like she said, like exactly what Brittany said, like those are qualities of people that have, like, I don't know what's wrong with me. I keep coughing, but anyway, sorry guys. I know that's annoying, but anyway, so like we see these people with this potential, but then we have these people who come in and we wish it for them so badly, but they don't want it bad enough for themselves. And what ends up happening is we start placing people under them. We get out Ruby charts. We make them the diamond for our triple or the emerald for our double. We're so pumped up about them, and they won't even respond to your text, but you're still holding out hope that they'll come around. And then you've put this whole team under them. They decide that they want to quit, and then you're pissed off because they left when they never showed you leadership in the first place, but you just stuck that mug in a leadership position. Like, why would you do that? Because they didn't even show you the leadership qualities that they should have shown you for you to put them in that type of a position. And a lot of times, people crumble under the weight of the rank that they are at because they were never meant to be there in the first place yet. They have to grow to that position. And I know that if I had gone ambassador back in March whenever I wanted to, and that was like my first goal, it would have crumbled. I would have crumbled under the weight of that. That's a whole other story. But anyway, that happens to us a lot. And then we get salty at that person, like it's their fault. And then we get mad and we're like, well, my team just quits. My team just sucks. Everybody that joins my team quits. But it's because you're not looking for the correct leadership for the correct positions on your team. And sometimes people will surprise you, but I agree with Brittany that the more that you do it, and as soon as you're being intentional about looking for those qualities, you find them. And I can tell you probably within 2 weeks, yes or no. Like, is this person a leader? Yes or no. Will this person quit soon? Yes or no. And I can kind of tell, and she's right. So just part of working smarter, not harder, is knowing who and where to pour your time into. And like she said, it's not that we're not going to help them, but you have to be realistic about that and not want this so badly for somebody else that it blinds you to where they're really actually at versus where you want them to be or where they could be. They're very different. Okay. So just wanted to add that, but I totally agree with you. Okay. So the very last question, this came from a journaling topic. Actually, it's funny that Kelsey's on here because she sent me a bunch of journaling topics that her and her team kind of put together. So I shared them with my team because that's just what we do, share everything. So I shared them with my team. And one girl this morning she was a leader on my team. She was leading our power hour, and she was like, I want y'all to do this journaling question with me because I just don't have the answer yet, and I want to know. And so I asked for questions, and she was like, ask Brittany this question and see if she knows. So the last question, I gave this to her ahead of time, so I'm not putting her on the spot. But so how do you show love to yourself on a daily basis? And if you don't, what are some things that you wish you did to show yourself love? And I think this is so important, so I would love to hear your answer.
Okay, so I write my affirmations every single day, and I just have like literally just like a ordinary spiral. It's nothing fancy, but I write affirmations every single day. And if you're not familiar with affirmations, you need to write I am. Like, don't write I'm going to be, or one day I will be. Like, it's I am, all the things that you want to be. And I start my affirmations out every day with I am redeemed for this. And I actually was just sharing with my team earlier on our team Zoom that I think, like, for me, what I think is so powerful about starting off with that statement is it's really hard to be negative and speak death over yourself when you've started the day off with I am redeemed for this. And so if you're someone that really struggles with self-love, or you struggle with negativity or whatever, like start your affirmations off with I'm redeemed for this, followed by everything else that you want to write. Like I write everything, you guys. And like some of the things are repetitive and some of the things like are, you know, I write different things on day to day, but I mean, I write like I'm a multimillionaire, I'm double diamond 2.0, I'm one of It Works' first ever double ambassadors. I lead my team to victory. I'm blessed and highly favored. I'm relentlessly consistent. I persist until the miracle happens. I attract my dream business partners. I attract people who are a joy to help. Those are just some of the things I write. Like I write everything you can think of. But by speaking these things out and writing them out, it's different, not just speaking them, but actually writing them. It doesn't matter if like something bad happens in my day. It doesn't matter if like my husband and I get in a fight, or my kids are melting down, or my kids are throwing up and have the stomach bug. It doesn't matter what hiccup comes my way. Like I've already like gotten my day off on the right foot by like writing out these things. And then that coupled with self-development, I just think you just set yourself up for success. Like things are going to happen. Life is never going to be perfect. There's always going to be things that are thrown your way. And I just want to say this too, like I firmly believe that when you're going for promotion, that's when like the worst stuff happens to you. My husband and I like literally hardly ever fight, except the months I'm promoting. The months that like I'm promoting to a big promotion are like always going to be like the 25th of the month to like the 30th. Like we're fighting more than ever. And I'm like, why is this happening? And then we usually realize it like 3 days in, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like the devil's just trying to get between us. So like if things are happening to you, like perhaps it's because the devil sees something in you that he's terrified of, and he's trying to throw everything at you he can to get you off to knock you off your horse. But again, this kind of goes back to what we were talking about before. If you're not naive to his schemes, you can set yourself up for success. You can guard your mind. You can take every thought captive. And it starts for me with writing them out, like writing out affirmations. But then again, just having like some things set in place that you do to like set yourself up for success. For me, like I'm a high performer, and I'm like an achiever. I always want to be doing stuff, and I'm really hard on myself. So what I have found that I have to do to set myself up for success is I have to have my mornings set off right. So when I wake up in the first of the day, I don't like answer my messages or do anything on social media until after I've had my keto coffee and my greens and watched a sermon. So I just watch like a 30-minute sermon from like Stephen Furtick or Dr. Darius Daniels or Michael Todd. And I drink my coffee, and it's completely uninterrupted. Like I don't let my kids interrupt that time. I don't answer my phone. My phone's on do not disturb when I wake up in the morning. And so by protecting my mornings and starting my morning off pouring into myself and like having my coffee uninterrupted, like that sets me up in a good frame of mind to like tackle whatever happens my day. But what I noticed before I started doing this, which like just going back, whenever I sat at triple for 17 months, I wasn't doing this at first. Like this is something I implemented during that time I sat at triple, and it helped me. But before then, I was just waking up, immediately diving into my phone. I wasn't watching something every morning. Like I might not even start self-development till 2 o'clock. And it's not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just about knowing what you need. Do you need your morning to go well? If your morning goes well, is the rest of your day probably going to go better? Okay, then yes, then protect your morning. I do Rachel Hollis's monthly coaching sessions. And one thing she talked about on like my first group coaching session with her at the beginning of this year is she said, like we as women, like some of us are real with ourselves. Like we know what we need to feel good. But then some of us like are a part of this movement where we're like, oh, like I love myself no matter what. I don't have to wear makeup. I don't have to get dressed. Like none of that matters. But really, like, let's be real. We all have something that makes us feel better, whether it's curling your hair, whether it's putting your makeup on, whether it's just putting some cute exercise clothes on, like whatever. Like we all have something we feel a lot better when we do. And she was talking about this on the session. She said, whatever it is that you feel better when you do this, then just go ahead and do that every day. Like skip the part where you like learn the hard way for 6 months. Like just start now and doing that thing that you know makes you feel better. So like for me, it's just putting clothes on and doing my makeup. I really don't know how to do my hair, so like hardly ever do my hair. But I feel a lot better if I just do my makeup and get dressed. And so that's part of my morning routine too, is like I'll listen to self-development, drink my coffee, get dressed, put my makeup on, and then I feel a lot better. And because I do that, I'm a lot more likely to go live just on a whim. I'm a lot more likely to FaceTime someone. I'm a lot more likely to do things that I wouldn't do if I hadn't started my morning off right and felt good about myself.
I love that. And it's so funny because I was talking to a girl about that today, because this is literally how I look 24/7. And I just got back from the gym, made some dinner and got on the Zoom, so I look like a hot mess. But I did look okay earlier today. And I FaceTimed a girl on my team, and she was like, what are you so dressed up for? Like, literally all I did was, like, had, like, a little bit of makeup on, and my hair was curled. And I was like, dang, okay. I was like, I'm just getting ready for the day. And she was like, that's awesome. She was like, I've been doing that too. And I said that too. I was like, it makes me more like, if I want to do an Insta story, I just do it right then, because I don't have to get ready because I already look ready. Or like, I'll take pictures and I'll get posts up for the rest of the week. And so, not that you have to get ready every single day, but whenever I was working in my pajamas, straight from the bed, straight to the couch, working in my pajamas, phone first thing in the morning, I was getting antsy. I was getting stressed. I was getting anxious. I felt very overwhelmed easily, and that flowed into everything. It flowed into my marriage. It flowed into my, relationship with my parents. It flowed into everything that I did. And it just made me a very like this person all the time. And that's the best way I know how to describe it, is just like this all the time. And so whenever I stopped and I was like, you know what, I'm going to wake up at, I'm not going to do the whole, like, I don't have to wake up to an alarm thing. Like, no, you don't have to, but do you want to succeed in this business? Do you want to move forward? Then wake up to an alarm. So that's what I choose to do. Wake up between 6:30 and 7. I get out, my affirmations. I do my clarity chart from the high performance habits. I do all these things. I drink my celery juice. I do an Insta story about that. I get ready. I put clothes on. And so it just makes me feel better about my day and starting that. And it honestly, that's how I love myself. Like, I think that that's so important. And people are like, I don't know, people like look down on that a lot, I guess, like about self-love, but you should love yourself, and you should love yourself enough to take care of yourself. And that's a big part of it. Working out, that's another way to love yourself. It makes you feel so good whenever you're done working out. Eating healthy, fueling your body with the right foods, like all of that's so important. And it also like goes hand in hand with what we do in our business. So I love that. Kelsey, I wanted to give you the floor if you wanted to say anything else.
How did you know? You know me so well. I was literally about to unmute myself, because I was sitting here like, do I say something? Do I not? Okay. Anyways, so, but I can never not say something. But anyways, so here is what my whole point that I wanted to make, because I've seen a lot of people in the chat, and I love freaking seeing people in the chat. I love when people have their videos on. Like, I always know like who's performing the highest by whose videos on. Like, straight up, like, it's always leaders that are videos are on. Okay. Like, if you ever go and watch any Zoom, if you're taking notes, like, look at the people's whose video is on. Okay, like, that doesn't mean that that's they're not doing something else. But what it does mean is that they're engaged, and they're holding themselves accountable to be engaged because their videos on. Okay, trust me, I used to not do this. But let me tell you something. The one thing that I really wanted to point out was through the chat, and I'm sure a bunch of you guys did this while she was talking. And they're like, morning routine. Yeah, I know. I need to do a morning routine. Oh, the 10X rule. I've heard about that book. That's a really good book. Oh, John Maxwell. I've heard of John Maxwell. Oh, yeah, I need to write affirmations. But my question to you is, do you know it, or have you just heard about it? Because if you've just heard about it, you don't do it. If you know it, you're doing it now. Like you did this today. Because so many times, one of the biggest enemies, the three words that will kill you in this business are, I know that. I know that. Yeah, I know that. Because what happens is that we start to know everything, but not do anything. And I'm telling you this because I've fallen victim to this plenty of times. And here's the thing: is you just have to become, sorry, somebody's unmuted. You just have to become self-aware of when this is becoming you. Because if you can get on a Zoom, I had this aha moment probably like 2 months ago. I was on a Zoom and I was listening to somebody talk, and I was like, yeah, I know that. Yeah, I know that. But her business was doing way better than my business. And I was like, dang, well, she's actually doing that, right? She's actually doing that. So you can be the best student, but the worst performer. And so stop being a student and start being a performer. That is the only difference. I'm going to tell you, that's the only difference. And Brittany recommended this book, one of the Zooms that she was on that I was listening to, and I was like going ham on my team page about it. But this was something that if any of you guys have hit a goal and you feel like you're in a slump after you hit a goal, this is one of my aha moments. If you have not got this book, it's called Atomic Habits. It was literally blowing my mind. I was like so hyped. I felt like I was about to run through a wall when I was reading it earlier. But it says, here's the thing. Winners and losers have the same goals. Okay, so your goals aren't the issue. Stop setting these goals because it sounds good, right? Stop setting these goals as it sounds good. It says, we concentrate on the people who end up winning, and we mistakenly assume that ambitious goals led to their success while overlooking all the people who had the same objective but didn't succeed. And think about it. Hey, how many people on your team page wrote, I want to go Ruby at the beginning of August? How many people go Ruby just because they write, I want to go Ruby? Two. Okay. So here's the thing. Every Olympian wants to win a gold medal. Every candidate wants to get the job. And if successful and unsuccessful people share the same goal, then the goal cannot be what's going to differentiate the winners from the losers, right? It wasn't the goal of winning the Tour de France that puts you on the top of the podium. But here's the thing. The goal has always been there. It was only when you implement a system of continuous small. Okay, we're talking small. We're talking about writing 10 things each morning, you guys. It takes 4 seconds. Like when I understood like, oh, I just have to write like I'm a black diamond. Like just practice it. Just do it for tonight before you go to bed. Just do it. Just write 4 things that you want to be, have, achieve, accomplish. Write it. Just do it. Do it one time. And I swear, once you do it one time, you're going to be like, that was so easy. That was like so easy, right? So the goal has always been there, but it's only when you implement a system of small continuous improvements that you achieve a different outcome. So stop focusing on goal setting and start focusing on the system that's going to help you. Because what he also says in the book is, what if you didn't have the goal, but you had the same system Brittany had? What if you said, I don't care about my goal. I don't care what happens, but for 6 months, I'm going to do exactly what Brittany Hayes told me to do. Post, message, follow up, add to my network. Post, message, follow up, add to my network. Or whatever the 4 things are. Everybody's are a tad bit different, but really the same. I swear, if you did it every day, like she said, fiercely consistent, relentlessly consistent. She said a bunch of really cool adjectives before the word consistent to make them sound different, but they're all the same. Just being consistent. It just means doing the same thing. You guys, nobody wants to do the work. They want to say they have these big dreams, but it becomes in your system. It becomes in your routine. And as a blue, I hate the word routine, okay? So I really try not to say it because it makes me want to vomit because it sounds so boring. But here's the thing. It's like she said, it doesn't have to look the same. It doesn't have to be at the same time. But stop trying to say, oh, it's my goal or my real unrealistic time frame. It's a work or lack thereof. Okay, I'm done. Just cut me off.
Okay, you're done. I'm just kidding. I could literally listen to y'all talk all day, so y'all are good. But Brittany, did you have anything else to add, or because that was the last question, so I just don't want to cut you off if you had anything else to say.
So the last thing that I wanted to share was just something that I heard Stephen Furtick share today. It was from the sermon that he did like 2 weeks ago called The Blessing of Both, if you want to listen to it. But he said, if you watch the wind to see if it's blowing right, you'll never sow. If you watch the clouds to see if it's dry enough, you'll never reap. Your mind will always find a reason or an indication that this isn't the right time. And I just thought that was so huge, and just thought that was something that we do so often in our business. Like, we're literally looking around like, well, can it happen this month? Can I make it happen? Like, well, my team's not working. Oh, I don't know. And we talk ourselves out of it, and like, we're our own worst enemies. And I just wanted to share that with you and just say, like, as we literally close out 2019, like, I don't know if you guys have realized this, we have less than 5 months left of 2019. We're about to be in 2020. As we close out this year, like stop like shooting yourself in the foot. Stop making excuses for why you can't, and realize kind of what I was sharing in the beginning. God doesn't have favorites. He's not going to bless everyone else and not you. It doesn't matter if there's things that are going on in your life that are, you know, maybe more intense than what someone else has going on. Like it's a part of your story, and it's something that he's going to use to propel you forward at the right time if you let it. And so, yeah, I just wanted to share that because I just thought that was so huge. Just like not looking around to see if the conditions are right, just going for it.
I love that. That popped up on my suggested on YouTube, and I listened to a TD Jakes sermon, but I'm going to listen to that tomorrow because that sounds so good. So thank you again so much for doing this for us. And Kelsey, thank you for sharing too. I super appreciate y'all and look up to y'all so much in this business and just as people. Y'all are awesome. So thank you. And I can send everybody the recording, but I hope that y'all have a great night, and we will talk to y'all later. Y'all finish this month out strong. We have about 18, 19 days left. So make the most of it. Bye, guys.